In October of 2004, I was assigned to cover infrastructure failures in remote parts of the Pacific Northwest. It was supposed to be routine. The town was Forks, a logging community pressed between dark forest and the cold edge of the Pacific. The kind of place where mornings begin in fog and end in fog, and the in-between feels borrowed. I rented a small room above a hardware store on Main Street. From the window, I could see wet pavement reflecting orange streetlights and the slow drift of mist rolling in from the trees. The forests there are dense in a way that feels intentional, as if they are not simply growing, but standing guard. I had come because of a series of unexplained power fluctuations. Entire blocks losing electricity for exactly 90 seconds at a time. No storms, no damaged lines, no clear cause. The local utility supervisor, a man named Daniel Harper, told me the outages were probably just aging infrastructure. But he didn't meet my eyes when he said it. The first night, the power cut out at 2:17 a.m. Exactly 90 seconds. No wind, no thunder, no sound at all. When the lights returned, the digital clock on the microwave downstairs blinked 2:19. It should have read 2:18. I remember standing in the dark, waiting for the usual hum of the town to resume. Refrigerators, distant highway noise, something. There was nothing. The silence pressed against the walls like insulation. And then, faintly, I heard something above the roof. Not movement, not footsteps. A vibration. Low, sustained. Almost felt more than heard. It stopped when the power returned. The next morning, the town carried on as usual. Trucks loaded with timber rolled down Highway 101. Coffee shops filled with loggers in reflective jackets. The radio played local news. No one mentioned the outage. When I asked the woman at the bakery if she had noticed anything strange overnight, she hesitated. Then she said, "We lose power sometimes." Her hands were shaking slightly as she boxed my order. Outside, the sky was the color of unpolished steel. And for reasons I couldn't explain, I had the quiet sense that something had already begun. The outages continued. Always 90 seconds. Always between 2:14 and 2:23 a.m. I started recording them. On the third night, I stayed awake with a handheld audio recorder placed on the windowsill. At 2:18 a.m., the lights died. The darkness felt thicker this time. Not empty, thick. My recorder continued running on battery power. That's when I heard it clearly. A tone. Very low frequency. Rhythmic. Mechanical. It pulsed 3 times. Then silence. When the power returned, I checked the recording. There was no tone. Only static. And something else. For approximately 40 seconds, my voice, speaking softly into the recorder, was missing. The waveform simply flattened, as if the air itself had swallowed sound. The following day, a rancher from outside town reported 3 missing cattle. No blood, no tracks, no broken fencing, just absence. The sheriff dismissed it as predators. But predators don't erase footprints. 2 days later, the local radio station briefly lost transmission at 2:21 a.m. The host later told me he had experienced a sudden wave of nausea and vertigo just before the equipment failed. "I thought I was having a stroke," he said. He wasn't joking. I borrowed a Geiger counter from a retired science teacher who lived near the edge of town. Radiation levels were normal. However, compasses began behaving erratically near certain clearings in the forest. I witnessed it myself. Standing among towering spruce trees, the needle spun slowly, not wildly, but deliberately, as if being guided. There were no military bases nearby, no known aerospace testing corridors, but several residents described lights. Not bright, not flashing, just a soft, distant glow above the tree line during outages. One woman said it looked like moonlight where there shouldn't be any. And every account ended the same way, with silence. Not the absence of sound, the absence of something else. Dogs refused to go outside after midnight. Birds stopped calling earlier than usual. Even the wind seemed to withdraw from the treetops during those 90 seconds. On the fifth night, I noticed something new. Pressure. A subtle tightening inside my ears as the outage began, like descending in an airplane. Only there was no movement, no altitude change, just pressure, and the feeling of being observed. Word began to spread. Quietly, three teenagers driving along Highway 101 claimed their car stalled during an outage. The headlights dimmed. The radio emitted a sharp burst of static. One of them vomited in the back seat. Another described seeing a shape above the road. Not a craft, not a structure, a shape, like a piece of the sky missing, he said. Their parents discouraged them from talking about it. A week into my stay, two linemen investigating the grid reported unusual interference in the transformer station east of town. Their equipment registered fluctuations inconsistent with any known surge pattern. One of them later confided that he heard metal bending, but there was nothing bending. Residents started reporting headaches, nosebleeds, insomnia. The outages increased to twice per night. Still 90 seconds. Still precise. I drove into the forest during one of them. I don't know why. Perhaps I thought proximity would provide clarity. At 2:20 a.m., my headlights cut out. The engine continued running, but weakly. The forest fell into absolute darkness. No insects, no wind, no distant ocean. The pressure in my ears intensified. Then the vibration began, stronger this time. It wasn't coming from a single direction. It was everywhere, the air itself trembling. I stepped out of the car. Immediately, I regretted it. The darkness felt physical, heavy, as if something enormous occupied the space above the trees. I couldn't see it, but I felt its mass. And then, for a fraction of a second, the sky shifted. Not lit, shifted, as if a vast surface passed between me and the stars. When the lights returned, I was standing 20 feet from my car. I don't remember walking. My watch read 2:29 a.m. 9 minutes unaccounted for. The sheriff announced a curfew after two residents failed to return home one night. Their truck was found on a logging road. Engine cold, doors open, no sign of struggle, no footprints leading away. The ground was damp enough to hold impressions. There were none. I requested permission to visit the site before federal authorities arrived. Reluctantly, he agreed. The forest around the truck felt wrong. Not damaged, not disturbed. Wrong. The silence there was complete, even in daylight. My audio recorder malfunctioned repeatedly. The compass needle pointed straight upward. I felt the pressure again. Then the vibration. It began low and distant. Then it deepened. The trees did not sway, but their branches trembled. I looked up, and I saw it. Not clearly, not entirely. A distortion, a region of sky darker than it should have been. Its edges undefined, like heat ripples, only colder. It did not move in a conventional sense. It adjusted, subtly, as if aligning itself with something below. With me, my vision blurred. A metallic taste filled my mouth. The pressure inside my skull intensified until I dropped to my knees. There was no sound, but I understood something. Not words, not language, just certainty. It was not visiting. It was measuring. The ground beneath my hands felt warm. When I looked down, I saw faint circular impressions in the soil, perfectly smooth, as if pressed by enormous weight. Then everything went white. Not bright, white, like static filling the world. When I regained awareness, I was lying beside the truck. It was late afternoon, 7 hours missing. My camera battery was drained. Every recording device corrupted. And etched faintly into the dirt beside me was a shallow ring, nearly 12 feet in diameter, perfectly round. By the next morning, unmarked SUVs had arrived. Men in plain jackets, speaking little. They collected soil samples, confiscated my equipment, advised me to reconsider the angle of my report. The official explanation cited faulty transformers and wildlife predation. The missing residents were labeled probable runaways. No search parties continued beyond a week. Within days, the outages stopped. Completely. The town seemed relieved, but not comforted. Several families quietly relocated. The rancher who lost cattle sold his property. Daniel Harper resigned. I left Forks 2 weeks later. Back home, I began experiencing blackouts. Short at first, seconds, then minutes. Once, I woke standing in my kitchen with the faucet running and no memory of turning it on. Medical tests showed nothing abnormal. But sometimes, late at night, I feel the pressure return. Subtle. Building. I've compared notes with 3 other residents who left town within months of the incident. All report insomnia. All report identical dreams. Standing in a forest clearing. Looking up. Unable to move. Feeling measured. Official records list no anomalies in Forks during October 2004. Power company logs show routine maintenance. The sheriff retired a year later and declined interviews. Satellite data from that week is incomplete. Corrupted, according to the archive. I have attempted to reconstruct the missing hours from my encounter. There are scars on my left forearm that were not there before. Thin, parallel, not cuts. Indentations. Perfectly straight. I don't remember how they formed. Sometimes, when the house is quiet, electronics in my apartment hum softly, even when unplugged. And once every few months, at exactly 2:19 a.m., the lights flicker. Not off, just enough to remind me. I returned to Forks last year. The forest near the logging road remains unusually still. Birds avoid the clearing. Compasses misalign within its perimeter. And the ground, despite heavy rain and seasonal change, still bears a faint circular depression, nearly 12 feet across. Authorities deny any knowledge of federal involvement. Residents refuse to speak on record, but occasionally, someone will lean closer and whisper, "It's still out there." I don't believe it ever left. Because some nights, when the sky feels too low and the silence thickens beyond reason, I sense that vast, unseen mass above me. Not descending, not approaching, simply present, measuring, waiting. And if the outages were not arrivals, but calibrations, then perhaps Forks was never the event, only the test site. And whatever aligned itself above those trees in 2004 may now be aligned somewhere else, above someone who hasn't noticed the silence yet.